songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
Today we will be chatting with Jeremy Lister and talking about his song, The Bed You Made.
Jeremy Lister is a Nashville-based singer-songwriter known for his emotive vocals and heartfelt songwriting, blending elements of folk, pop, and soul. Originally from Mississippi, Jeremy's sound draws from his southern roots. He first gained recognition as a member of the a cappella group Street Corner Symphony, which was the runner-up on Season 2 of NBC's The Sing-Off, which I actually worked on. While they didn't win the top prize, one of the judges, Ben Folds, invited them to open for him on tour the following year.
As a solo artist, Jeremy brings introspective lyrics to life, exploring themes of love, self-discovery, and heartache. His song, The Bed You Made, is a standout example, capturing the emotional complexity of navigating relationships and personal accountability.
Beyond his own recordings, Jeremy frequently collaborates with other artists and lends his skills to various projects across genres. He recently returned from being on tour with Post Malone as a vocalist. On a more personal note, in 2014, Jeremy was given a year to live from liver and kidney problems due to alcohol abuse. He has been sober for almost 10 years and speaks openly about his recovery.
I became a fan of Jeremy's work on a trip to Nashville almost 20 years ago. We later became friends, but I was a fan first. His voice is truly angelic, and I could listen to him sing the phone book. He is a wonderful, kind friend, and we are grateful to have him here today to chat with us.
So grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry.
And now, here is The Bed You Made by Jeremy Lister.
my bones are struggling to take from underground. Because I lie in the bed I made. Yes, I lie in the bed I made. And yes, you lie in the bed you made. Yes, you lie in the bed you made.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. I feel like there's a lot of morning light today. Like you've got it behind you. I feel like my light's like different. So this early morning thing is working for us.
Thank you for joining us. We know you've been on the road and been busy, so thank you for hopping on with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm honored that you would feature me in the song and all this stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things we like to do is we like to tell you our theory on the song, and then you will usually debunk us and tell us how wrong we are. But you know, that's part of this that we look at the lyrics, we have our own interpretations, and then it's really nice to sit down with the artist and talk about what inspired the song and, you know, what comes from it. So I will tell you my theory. I've known you for a long time. For the listeners, I was telling Jeremy, I think we've known each other almost 20 years, which is crazy because we are only 22. So, you know.
Right. Since
Getting gray in my
preschool, it's
whiskers
amazing.
here,
I
and
know.
I'm only 22.
Oh,
This is
and
crazy.
actually, fun fact, Jeremy and I were born in the same hospital, but neither of us ever really lived there after, but like a month apart, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you figure that out?
I think we just were like, where were we born? And we
Yeah.
were both born in Greenville, South Carolina, which neither of us have a
smaller
connection.
town.
Yeah. And
funny.
then I was like, wait, were you? And I think I text my mom like, wait, what hospital were we born at? And
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my parents live in Anderson, South Carolina, which is like 30 minutes from there. But yeah.
right.
But we grew up in Mississippi and came back. Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'll tell you my interpretation. So I had a little insight, but I think I assumed that this was kind of the end of your first marriage. Like kind of you were singing that to her, and that you were taking accountability for maybe mistakes in the marriage.
And when just listening right now, I was like, you're either doing this as like a device or it's reality that like she, you know, the bed you made. So she made a mistake, which led you to make a mistake. And now you're both lying in this bed you've made.
Ooh, very interesting. It's because like the old album cover is funny. All this music came out many years after I wrote this song, actually. But you know, it's in a weird way, the album was kind of prophetic. like so many of the songs. I guess I was very young and naive, but like I think there was some part of my subconscious that knew that these things were going on. But I would say more so Laura's interpretation. Granted, we both made some mistakes and had our, you know, issues and the whole downfall of it all. But this song was more heavily about my side of things and kind of feeling that. My marriage was definitely on the rocks, I think, when I was writing this one. And it's interesting. This song kind of just fell out too. Like I was having a really, really tough time. Or coming to terms with the fact that I was struggling with drugs and alcohol, and was broke, was, you know, working really, really hard towards music, but feeling like a lot of things weren't happening. And I felt like I was sort of self-sabotaging a lot of things too. And then I was also like had a lot of anger and resentment towards like the way I grew up, and like God and religion and things like that. And it was very emo at the time. But a lot of it was I was just feeling like I had made a lot of decisions, or I got to this place where it felt like a lot of it was kind of just weighing on top of me. And I was like, I've kind of created this bed for myself, and I've got to lie in it now, you know? But I was just in this really heavy point in my life, and you know how funny it is. Like, what do they say? It's the rock in your shoe that gets you and not the mountain in front of you, or something like that. It was like all these things were going on, and I'd been bartending at this place in Nashville, and I was driving home, and I was just so frustrated with work and everything else, and I think I'd been drinking too, and I got pulled over. And at first I was really scared I was going to get arrested, but I ended up just getting a ticket, and I was just really furious with myself and mad about the whole situation. And I came home, and like this song just fell out of the guitar, like literally wrote it in 20 minutes. Just like I started playing it and wrote the lyrics. And I was like, wow, you know. So, and then it kind of became the centerpiece of this whole era of my artwork and artistry, and ended up kind of this was going to be an album that Warner Brothers released, but they recorded it, the album, but it was never released until after I left in 2010.
And you got it back, which is amazing.
Yeah, which is rare. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. So when did you write this? When you were in your deal with Warner Brothers, or?
Yeah, I think it was like right, and like it was like a weird period. Like they kind of courted me for a while. Like I had like sort of a development deal, which turned into a record deal. So I was like trying to hustle and make money, and at the same time, and then even when I got with them, they were like, okay, here's this. Like they kind of gave me like a monthly stipend instead of a big record advance, and they were like, as soon as we release your album, you're gonna get like $200,000. And I was like, oh my god! So I just started, you know, writing music all day, every day, as much as I could, and then never released an album. So I was just kind of stuck in this purgatory for like 5 years of like just working so hard.
Wow, 5 years.
But yeah, it was a long time.
A long time.
Yeah, it was 2005 to 2010, and
Wow.
and then at some point in that, like I started bartending again because I couldn't. They quit paying me, and I was just like, all right. And then a reality TV show came along after that, which was really weird, but.
Which we will get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will get to that. But
I was wondering about the lyrics, about like the whole bearing, like the dirt and the feeling underground, because that's not just a bed. That's the imagery of like a grave. So I just assumed that is like the weight of what you were feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I got to a place, you know, where everything was just feeling heavy, and I think more than anything, I knew that I was slowly killing myself, like especially with the drugs and alcohol. It's funny now, like the consequences of all that were just starting to happen. I had another 10 years or so of exploring and going down that road before things really, really got very close to that happening. But like I said, it was a bit of a prophetic album in a lot of ways too. Like there's so many things. I go back and listen to some of that stuff, and I hear so much of me already hurting with like my struggles with addiction and things like that. And there's so many songs that nod towards that, you know, on that album. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah. I guess either subconsciously or I really was diving into that because I knew it was a problem.
do you feel like this was kind of one of the first wake up calls, like after that, when you got pulled over? Do you feel like, or were there other signs before that, or just kind of?
Oh yeah, like... there was tons, and I mean, it took, unfortunately for me, or maybe fortunately for me, it just took a whole lot. Lot of I'm here, and and I've been sober for almost 10 years, and
which is amazing.
Life's great. You know, I've got a new start and a happy marriage, and
I know.
You know, things are going pretty good.
I mean, it must be like hearing yourself in that time must be like opening a time capsule, right? You're like, well, that's like another version of myself. Like, does it feel like that?
Absolutely, yeah. I sometimes I tell people it's like I've had the opportunity to live at least 2 lives, you know, and because not all of it was bad. Like I had some really, really good and amazing and fun times, and but I also had some really, really dark and lonely periods, like where, you know, I would just be in a crowd of people, but just felt so alone and sad. But yeah, like at the same time, I'm so glad I had the chance to live that. I think obviously going through periods like that are, you know, that can be an artist's greatest fuel for creation, you know, having having deep emotions, whether it's, sadness or happiness, and fortunately I've, now been at a point where I've had a bunch of both of that. And it's cool. Like actually, even right now, I'm working on a new EP that's a little bit more in this vein, kind of a little bit more some sad songs, and I'm drawing from some of those experiences again. And it's almost in another period of all that I've not really written about, which I'm very excited to get out there as well.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah.
When you were saying about, you were also having issues about or questioning faith and some of your upbringing, I mean, was that like you breaking away from kind of the religion like in your life, or was that kind of what you were intimating?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had, I was, dad's a Southern Baptist preacher, and, family that are very deeply involved in, I guess, not evangelical, maybe that's the right word, but more fundamental Christianity. And I started having doubts about that, in my teens. And then, because it was like all of my life, it was exceptionally hard to let go of that, because I started questioning that and I was like, I don't know if I believe this, or I don't know if I want to believe this. And then like slowly letting go of that through the years was very, very difficult. And like often I would sort of drink at that idea and that institution. So yeah, it was tricky and very depressing. It still can be a little bit haunting sometimes, but fortunately I've had a great spiritual journey through the last 10 years that still continues, and I have my own interpretation of what God and that word means to me. And
I was going to ask, have you kind of come back to the church after detaching, or like, no?
I've been in recovery. I'm pretty open about that. And one of the phrases I like a lot is take what you want and leave the rest. And so what I've really appreciated is there's some amazing teachings by Jesus, and they're like, I've become a big fan of Richard Rohr, who's like more into Christian mysticism, and I'm also really into Buddhism and Taoism and Eastern philosophies, and I just kind of, it's like, here's my garden, and I like that a lot. That really can apply to where I'm at and what I'm going through, and this could help me be a better person and help me with my spiritual walk.
I mainly ask, I have a teenager, so I like read about like teen psychology, and one of like the first ways of establishing your identity is by deciding what you're not, and that is usually pushing against the parents or like what the parents want. And it sounds like your parents had a very strong influence, and the church was a big part of that. So like I can also imagine that like I'm sure it goes deeper than this, but like I'm sure like part of that impulse is like, no, I need something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, what's been cool about, I had so much resentment for so many years, and like it fueled the fire, I think, with a lot of my addictive issues. But now I've gotten to a place like where I can really, really love them and see where they're coming from, and like appreciate the good aspects of their faith as well. And though it's not exactly where mine is, like I can still meet them there, I really appreciate that.
Right. Seeing our parents for not just the authority figures, but as humans, and taking what you want from what's the quote again? Take what you want,
leave the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it comes to find out, like my parents are actually, they're amazing. They're like loving, beautiful people, and we definitely don't align or agree on certain things, but I think they come from a place of like unconditional love, and which is a beautiful thing to have,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah. When you like read about like you, like everyone in the family is a singer, like it seems like, oh my gosh, you guys must have had so much fun at like Christmas, like you could harmonize on the Christmas carols together. It sounds like cheery and rosy, at least musically. Did it feel that way?
Yeah, like early childhood especially, it was fun. We were always doing musicals and stuff in church, and my mom's side of the family is like the Southern gospel like quartet side. My granddad was a famous tenor in a gospel quartet called the Blackwood Brothers, and we would go to South Carolina, and Aunt Sarah or Nana, my grandmother, would be on the piano, and we would all sing hymns and fun things, and it was awesome because everyone could just harmonize. Like we were born being able to do it in a way. It's bizarre.
You were born into an a cappella group.
Yes, we were learning to sing as we were learning to talk. It was pretty wild. And I would sit next to my mom, like in church, and she would always be singing the alto line of a song, and I would just listen to her and just start singing what she was singing. And then the first time I actually tried out for a choir, like in middle school or junior high or something like that, they were like, "How are you singing harmonies?" Like they were like they were seeing where I was at with my voice and like sing this melody, do 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 do, and I would do 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 do, and I would sing the harmony line. They were like, "Why are you singing the harmony?" I was like, "I don't know. That's what my mom does." And
Right.
So,
I love that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You touched on the reality show, and which also feeds into some of the addiction, some of the wake up calls, right? Or I know this part, but so Lindsay worked on Sing Off too. She came in on the finale episode, I think, right?
I came in for the finale. So I came in and I was like, okay, it's like 6 weeks. Like we got one episode. So I was thinking this morning because I was like, I remember the song you sang.
Oh,
I can't remember.
And tell the listeners what the show was. Sorry.
Sorry. So this was the Sing Off. And Jeremy, you probably don't know, but I did a cappella in college. So I was like, and the previous music supervisor thought of me because when the show came out, I was like, oh my God, I did a cappella. Like if you ever need help or anything, like let me know. And then working on it, it was crazy to think that like I did that for fun. It was crazy to think that part of my like college life actually was helpful in my career. It was kind of bizarre. I felt like I felt like I dealt with the arrangers, not necessarily you, but I remember getting Fix You cleared. And you were really fun to pick, like to think of songs for, because you have such an amazing vocal. And I can't remember if Fix You was a competition number or like a Christmas number, but
It was like a group number.
Yes.
It was like
Opener.
one of our songs, but it was like, I don't even think it was the opener. I think it was like a halfway through or something like that. But
Okay.
Yeah, the whole production of that whole thing was really special. That's still like one of my favorite moments from the show. It's just like the way they had the lights in the crowd and like the choreography, and I was very flattered to have the lead on that, and I don't know. I'm a big Coldplay fan already, so that was so much fun, and like that the ending with a big soaring note, I would almost cry every time I sang it. That was a special time.
It was
Now,
super powerful.
remind me, were both your brothers in that, or at different times, or in the original? And your group was called the Street Corner Symphony.
Street Corner Symphony was the
yeah.
group, and then so my older brother was in the group with me, and there was another set of brothers, the Macklemore brothers. Okay. And then we had two other friends that Mark went to school with. Okay. And then right after the show, we had some people leave, and my little brother replaced one of the singers. That's right. I remember. So it was at that point there was three of us. And then at the same time, the producer of the Sing Off wanted us to come back for the season 3, and I was like, "We're off to the races!" Like we were playing, 150 shows a year after that, and but I was like, "Let me put together a group for you." So I put together the Collective, which was
yes.
Oh, that's right.
So I helped put together like Sam and Ruby and Rachel Lampa and Perrin and Daniel Ellsworth, Jonathan Lister, who was also in that, and then it was like 9 people, I can't remember. But they came back to compete, and they did pretty well. I think they made it like halfway through. And then we came back again as like the special guest that year, which then included Jonathan. So the 3 of us were actually on the Sing Off that year.
And then, so was the Collective the year that Pentatonics won?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I think I came to a couple tapings to see you or something.
You
and
helped out for a week or two.
Yeah, I did. You're
Someone
right.
was on vacation. Yeah,
that's right.
So tell us, how did you get cast in the Sing Off to begin with? How'd they find you?
Kind of going back to what I was saying before, I've been like 2 years or so that I wasn't, I got really no pay or anything from the record label anymore. I was still signed to them, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Fortunately, my manager at the time was friends with the president at Warner, who we had heard was leaving or being asked to leave. And then they went to him and was like, "Hey, this kid has worked his ass off for you guys, and he's written hundreds and hundreds of songs. Could you give him his album back and just let him go, let him out of the deal?" And they were like, yes. I was like, great. So I got out, but I was just like, okay, what's next? And the universe, or whatever it was doing its thing, I just got a phone call from a friend I went to high school with and I sang in the choir with. And he was like, hey, have you heard of this show called The Sing Off? It's NBC. It's like Ben Folds is a judge and Nick Lachey's the host and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, cool. It sounds cool. He's like, well, you want to try out? I was thinking about you and your brother and me and my brother, and we'll get some other people to hop in and we'll try out for the show. I was like, nah, I don't think that's really my cup. I'm not really I don't dig on reality TV that much. We got off the phone and I'm pretty sure I told him no. And then I just sat on it and I was like, why not? Like, which it's just an audition. Why not just go do it? And so I called him back and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so they had auditions in Nashville, Michelle McNulty, and that whole crew came to SIR, and and I was like scruffy and I think wearing sunglasses because I was probably still drunk from the night before.
Oh boy!
And but we got in and we auditioned with one of my songs called Shooting Star, and we did a Beach Boys God Only Knows.
Oh,
and
wow.
we did like this Flo Rida barbershop intro into like Flo Rida medley, which was hilarious.
That's so like classic acapella. Like
yes.
Started as a barbershop quartet.
Yeah, absolutely,
and then hit the
absolutely.
Hip-hop. Yeah.
And like the Macklemore brothers, they were from that world, so like they were doing a lot of the arranging and things like that. Okay. And me and Richie were like just Beatles singer songwriters type. So anyhow, they were like, we finished the audition and Michelle walked up to us and was like, you guys sound fantastic. Like the brother blend, it is unbelievable. Like we love you, but there's no way in hell we're casting you because you look horrible. Like you're just sitting there standing and not doing anything. They were like, whatever you have to do, go loosen up. We're going to give you one more audition, but we're going to come back later this afternoon and show us some moves. Smile, like work the camera, baby. And so
did you shave your beard or something?
No, we just got hammered. Like we went to an Irish pub, and I came back in with a bottle of whiskey in my back pocket, like stumbling in, and I poured all the casting judges shots, and I was like, "We'll sound better if you drink this," and most of them did a shot with me, and then we proceeded to we worked up this whole dance bit to things, and they were just like, who the hell are these guys? And they loved it, which is also kind of feeding on me, like, all right, this right. Alcohol thing keeps working. But it was really fun though. At the end of the day, they loved us, and then it was kind of a joke to me at that point. I was like, they can't really like us, there's no way. And so we got on the show, and I kept thinking we would be sort of just a silly little fun country boys from Nashville who like to have a good time. But it seemed like that just worked. And so we kept winning and winning and winning, and then we almost won the show.
Yeah, you were the runner-ups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, who won the show that year?
Committed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
They were so good. They still are really good. They still sing out a bit here and there.
Yeah.
Love those guys.
So was it fun? Like, I feel like you're singing and learning dance routines, but it is like you taped weekly. So it was also a grind. Like what were your feelings on it? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time commitment, like the hurry up and wait. But we were just sitting, most of the time it was just sitting and holding, waiting for, cameras to be set up. But I had a blast. It was a party. Like our room, me and my older brother shared a room, which was room 333, which was dubbed Halfway to Hell, 666. Oh dear.
And so we just threw raging parties every night, and it was really fun. At that point, I'd gotten divorced a year, I think, before that or so. So I was in that little, I'm single and ready to mingle period, But it was a fun time. It's the years that preceded that I got quite the fun ran out. We'll say that for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so were you locked into a tour, or how did that work? Because Ben Folds asked you all to go open for him, or?
Yeah, that was one thing. We were locked into this one tour, kind of in the Midwest we did, and we did that, and then Folds has come out for one of his tours, and then we were just getting crazy gigs. getting some really cool international gigs, and like sang at Tony Romo's wedding, and then FedEx hired us for like this thing in Italy, and like it was like, this is awesome, like, because I was so used to like sleeping on couches and just hustling to make, you know, a $500 gig or something like that, and I would rarely make money. It would go to the band or to expenses, and all of a sudden, you know, getting $20,000 to $100,000 offers, and was like, what? This is what it can be like, you know? And that, you know, had its course too, and then kind of that ship sailed. But it was fun. It was fun for a while, and then it was really, really heavy and dark for a while.
Yeah, so would you mind talking to us a little bit about like that pressure and what like drove you to drink or keep on drinking, or did you need it to perform?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is at that point, the effects had helped me so much, like with overcoming anxiety, with dealing with resentments, with it just became kind of my identity. Like the example I gave, you know, with auditioning for the show, I did it and people seemed to like me, and I was like, oh, this is what I need to do to be the version of me that people like, and to feel safe and everything else. Things I'm all learning in therapy now.
For the record, I liked you even without all that. And mostly when I saw you, I think you were mostly sober, or I think.
I always I really tried to just like be a good person and always have a good time with it, you know. But it was a coping mechanism. It was helping me
for sure.
not feel depression and anxiety that I was not dealing with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it also got wrapped up in my identity. So like I have to do this for you know, me to be me. That also brings up a kind of a crazy story too, because like people get signed so young, they really don't have a story yet. Like it's so interesting. Like people that are getting signed, you know, in their teens especially, and they're like, write these prolific, heartbreaking songs. I mean, granted, you go through a lot of emotions and stuff as you're a kid, but you don't have much of a story. And I didn't really have much of a story until I got sober, I don't think. And then and what's been fun since then is I can write from so many places that are honest, like about my life. It's not just sort of making up a song. I really feel like there were certain periods where I was just trying to like, what do I say here, you know? But that's, I mean, one of the really, really beautiful and sad things about The Bed You Made in that album is that was coming from an honest place. Just unfortunately, that was the stuff they weren't willing to release. I think it was just because it was just, I don't know if it was too vulnerable or too real, or I don't know or what it was, but yeah.
But it's the stuff, those are the songs that still stay with us, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that album's
and that we're still
one of my
talking
favorites.
about it.
The Bed You Made has never been synced.
Has it not?
No, never been synced.
Oh, okay.
That's another podcast, never been synced.
Yeah, right? I know, right? So going back, so you were touring all over the world, you were touring a lot, and you were locked into dates, and just that commitment and showing up every day was pretty challenging.
Yeah, it was just kind of the rinse and repeat. You know, we were doing the same things and playing all over the place, and you know, at this point, you know, I was waking up. Well, I couldn't sleep very much because like I'd at some point developed shakes, and my nervous system and my digestive system were always kind of at battles. So I would, I would stay up with a bus driver, just drinking and taking some pills enough till I would finally fall asleep.
The bus driver was drinking?
No, I would just hang out with him.
I'm like, oh God, I'm glad you're alive.
No, everyone was asleep, and I just wanted to like be with someone, so I would just be drinking my drinks with the bus driver as he was driving, and then I'd finally pass out, and then usually like 2 or 3 hours later, I would wake up and the shakes would start, and I would wait for everyone to get off the bus because I was embarrassed by how much I was shaking, and when I would finally hear no more footsteps or people moving around, I would get up, and then I would like go get my bottle of vodka and then pour it with some I'd make hot tea with honey and vodka, and I would usually throw up the first one and then quickly drink as much as I could to like settle my nerves, and then I would try not to get too drunk before the show every night. And it was just like a year or two of this, you know, and it was just it was awful. Not a fun way to live. And then I think at this point, you know, I'd already, you know, gone through a couple long-term relationships, and I'd at this point, like the band just hated me. Like they were just, like, or at least that version of me, I was just, no one really wanted to be much around me, and I hated me at that point. And And then fortunately, I just had I was actually going to the doctor a lot too, because I was having panic attacks and things like that. And I was worried that my liver was shutting down or pancreas was failing. And I was having a panic attack, and they called a doctor in backstage to come see me. I was on the sing-off tour actually that year. And a doctor came back, and I think I was scared enough and sober enough at the moment to hear him. And he was like, I told him about some of my charts where I already had like pre-cirrhosis and things like that I was developing. And he was like, well, you want the good news or the bad news? I was like, give me the bad news. And he was like, you've got about a year to live. And I was like,
wow.
And it just hit like really, really heavily. He was like, either you're going to get cirrhosis, which may take a couple more years, but you that's just, it's awful. Or you're going to aspirate in your sleep, you're going to fall or something like, or my skin was changing colors and all this stuff. He gave me all the things. He's like, this is your future. Or you can go get help and stop drinking and maybe have a long life. And that's the good news. And it clicked, and I was just like, yeah, I don't want to die like this. And I was so physically dependent, I could not quit right then. And we had almost another 2 months of tour left. And I was in the position where I if I were to leave, it would have significantly cost them a lot of money to like figure things out. So I went to the tour manager and my band, and I had a meeting, and I was like, guys, I'm going to try to hold it together. I'm going to drink so I can get through. I know it's kind of like a crapshoot on what's going to happen if I'm drinking, but I'm sorry, and I'm going to get help as soon as I get back. Or I didn't even say that. I said, I'm going to quit drinking as soon as I get back. I was like, if I die in the next 2 months, I deserve it, but I got my bottle of vodka every day, and somehow got through it. And then we played the Ryman, and then 10 out of 10 played the Ryman 3 nights before I got sober. And I don't really remember that. And then another group I was playing with at the time called American Hotel, we did a block party on April 25th of 2015. And then that day after that show, I was like, guys, I'm going to lock myself in a room for a few days. Went home and detoxed them on with some pills some people had gave me, and it was a horribly dangerous thing to do. I really, really lucked out. I could have died with that too, because I was just, violently shaking and thought I was going to die for like about 3 days. And then after like the third or fourth day of that, I woke up and I realized I was going to make it. And I was like, okay, what's next? And then that started my whole journey of figuring out, the world of recovery and therapy and all that kind of brought me to where I'm at now.
I mean, the idea of you like deciding to do that alone, I'm so glad you got through it, but why not seek out help?
Stubborn lister thing. Okay. the men in my family would probably understand in a way. It's just like, I say that. There was also, I had so much resentment towards myself at the time too. Like I was willing to accept the dangers and what the consequences that could have come with that, just because I thought I deserved it. And yeah, there's a lot of shame, I think, that was attached to it as well.
Thank you for sharing all that. I don't, sorry. Aww. I didn't know all that. And I know a little bit, but it just, makes me really sad.
Well, and the craziest, like, it's very, very sad, and I've got emotional a couple times just talking about it. But like, and I've cried a lot about it too. But like, it's also like the best gift I've ever had. So it's weird. Like now, I can also see that as like that was one of the best gifts I ever had, is to have that period, and that because without it, I wouldn't be able to have. I don't think I would have quit drinking unless it got that low, like a bottom, Right. And because of it, like I've got a lot to offer other people and people that I help, and also I've got this tattoo. It's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote. It's no mud, no lotus. Without the mud and without all that stuff, you don't have the flower. And actually, one of the newer songs I'm writing is kind of all about that. It's called Dirt, and so without a flower has to grow from dirt, which is...
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, having gone through that, you said now at least you have this gift of being able to help people. I don't know if you get the opportunity to talk to people who are getting into the music industry or heading out on crazy tours. What advice do you give someone who's feeling those pressures of performing? Or if you could talk to the younger version of yourself that was drinking,
Oh, yeah. I do that actually quite a bit in therapy. It's interesting. The type of therapy I do now, we do a lot of inner child work. And quite often, like, my therapist will have me, like, close my eyes and, like, go back and talk to, like, a 6-year-old version of myself or, like, a 13-year-old version of myself. And I've realized that there was, like, a 34-year-old version of myself that was stunted because he just, he lived idly and drinking for a while. So that man is also a child as well. So I kind of go, there's like four kiddos that I kind of go back and talk to. And I think the main thing I have to say when I go and talk to them is like, thank you. Like, I know you're looking out for me, but I've got this now,
I think it's such a powerful tool. Like when you think, and I know this is with like the 6-year-old version of yourself, when you see a child, like the way you talk just kind of changes, right? Like the way we talk to children is kind of sweet and rosy. And so I think it's a powerful tool to make yourself little again, to like stir up love for yourself. Do you find that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've definitely shed some tears in therapy, just hugging my little 6-year-old version of myself, because he wants to do good and please everybody, and he's just a little sweet sensitive kid, and that's all still in there. That's still what I'm trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
When we listened to the song, for listeners, we listened to the song before we hop on. I noticed you had your eyes closed, and were you going back to younger self listening to that, or?
Definitely going back to like that version of me, like when I was writing that and where I was at that time period, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the song mean to you now that you're in a different phase of your life?
It's interesting. Like, I went through, like, I got sober and I got really happy, like authentically happy. It was like these songs I wouldn't write before because they felt way too cheesy and unrealistic. Kind of flew out naturally, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this version of me. So like, I didn't want to play that song anymore for a while, or at least I guess I just gave it a good little break. But I think I've gotten back into a place, because even since I've been sober, I've also had some pretty hard years too, and so it's been nice to explore non-duality, and there's a place for all of that. It's not all just happy or sad, good, bad, and all these things. It's in my head and in my world of what I want to share with my art. There's a place for that version of myself, as well as very optimistic, happy, sunny versions of myself as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are always here for the sad versions of yourself that come out in songs. So like, keep, please exercise that muscle, That's why we're here. It's because like we don't work in radio because we like the emotional stuff.
I've got an album that literally 2 days ago I was in the studio working on. It's up to 5 songs now, but it's either going to be an EP or an album. I'm very, very excited for you to hear.
I can't wait.
Very sad songs.
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Oh, good. Speaking of, you touched on lightly the 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 was before the sing-off. Is that right? Do I have that right? Or when you first started it?
Yeah, it kind of happened through years. The last thing we did, which happened to be just a couple of days before I got sober, was I think our 10-year reunion.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah. It was like
Gosh,
10 out of 10.
Was it that long ago? I'm like, it feels like 10 years ago now, like now.
I know it. I know it's wild. Yeah, I think, I want to say 2005 was our first, that was our first tour. So, yeah.
Well, for like listeners who may not know what the 10 out of 10 tour was, I thought it was such a cool coming together, but how would you describe it, Jeremy?
Yeah, my pal Trent Dabbs, also from Mississippi, him and his wife Kristen had this brilliant idea of Trent's a singer-songwriter, brilliant writer. He's had a lot of success through the years, but as he moved to Nashville, he had a small following and things like that, and he was like, well, I work and write with my peers who all do kind of well in their lanes, what if we all come together, like make this super group? So 10 out of Tennessee, TEN out of TENN was kind of the pun on that. And I think the first iteration that I was in was Trent, Griffin House, Matthew Perriman Jones, Andy Davis, Tyler James, myself, KS Rhodes, Katie Herzig, Butterfly Boucher, and it was either Amy Stroop or Aaron McCarley in that first one. I can't remember, but
who, by the way, all these people are like sync darlings. Like,
yeah,
you know.
So
it happened to
crazy.
be that all of us ended up kind of getting pushed into the sync world. So it was great. So all of us played together as a super group, and like I'd play guitar and sing one of my songs, and then I'd move over to keyboards or trombone or sing background vocals, and we all were like this carousel of musicians that backed each other up, and it was so special and so much fun.
That's so cool. And I think what was so cool too was that my own perception too of Nashville at that time, previously to you all, was sort of, oh, it's the country mecca. And then none of you were really country at all. And it was all these, now we know that. And I think a lot of people know that. But that was kind of a time of, I thought, exposing a lot of people to non-country and all this great talent that's there and still there.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Jeremy, do you like sad songs, and do you have a couple favorites you want to share with us?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm definitely a kid of the 90s.
Yes.
Jeff Buckley was like my hero as a kid, and no one knew who he was in Mississippi, where I grew up, and when he was gaining popularity, even though he never really got too big, I think, until after he died, sadly. But I mean, Lover, You Should Have Come Over. I mean, come on. It's just like one of the... That's my number one, I think, a sad song. Fun fact, too, we got to the spring of my senior year, going into when I graduated, we would go to Memphis every Monday to go see Jeff Buckley play. So I got to see his very last show at a place called Barristers in Memphis, Tennessee, before his, very untimely death. Yeah. Which was absolutely amazing. I've got a little Jeff Buckley autograph. I keep it home. We got from the first time we got to see him. But yeah, he's phenomenal. Like getting him to like play all these songs, just him and his Les Paul. But so that one's up there. Really in this category, let's see here. I liked When the Pawn, Fiona Apple a lot. Paper Bag, obviously, is such a good one. What was the Love Ridden? Oh my God, that song is so good. And then Elliott Smith, pretty much anything from EXO or Figure Eight, Waltz Number 1 or 2, or Pizzella, ding, 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 ding. That's Elliott Smith I could listen to, especially this time of year, all day long. It's so good. Yeah.
So Jeremy's been on tour with Post Malone, and how is that like touring now, being sober? I should ask.
It's interesting. I am one of about 100 people that are in the big caravan of people that go out with a tour this size. It's like, I think, totally sober. Mm-hmm. Most everyone will, I'm not saying that everyone's like alcoholic or whatever, but the only person like this like doesn't do any drug or drink. But I've gotten so comfortable with it. Like it's really fine. Like I don't miss that old version of myself, and I do get to see it out in the road with certain people, and but honestly it's pretty chill for the most part. Everyone's like really, really nice, and my boss is incredibly kind and just got the biggest heart. Like kind of people always ask like, how is he? And it's like just like he seems. Like that's him,
That's great to hear.
Yeah, very, very, very sweet guy, and very giving. It's been fun. It's been stressful. It's a challenge. I've been on like little mini tours and done weekend stuff, but since I've been sober for like almost 10 years, I haven't done a tour like this. And so it's been a challenge just trying to get in the routines. Diet and exercise and stuff like that are always been a challenge for me. But I'm a big runner too, so I'm trying to create space and stuff for keeping that up, which has been a challenge. And then, being in a relationship, making sure we spend adequate quality time together. And I think if I continue to tour, which looks like I may be through this next year. We're gonna use the Paul McCartney rule with, and I think he had a thing with at least Linda where they couldn't go more than 2 weeks without seeing each other. So yeah.
Does your wife join you on tour or?
Yeah, so she came out one time for this last 2-month run, and that was just too long, I think, for us to go without hanging.
Yeah.
So, but she came to New York, and we had a really good time last time. And with her work, she's also an amazing artist. But with her
Sarah
other work,
Saturday is her name.
Sarah Saturday, aka Gardening Not Architecture.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see if she can come out and join us, several times on the tour. And it's great that we're capable of being able to do that. And also that's one thing I really love about the tours. They're very pro family. They're like,
oh, that's
like,
great.
If you ever want your family out, like, we'd never discourage that. We want them to come out and like be a part of it, because we know like what a big sacrifice you're making to be out here.
It's so nice to hear the difference of like, back on your you're like, I might die, but I'm gonna finish my contractual obligation to now, right? Like what a and the changes in you and the changes hopefully in this industry too, right? Like
yeah. I think there's still a lot of work to be done on that with like mental health and with addiction and things like that. And just another sad truth is just musicians and artists and people like sensitive types are very prone to substance abuse and some mental and emotional hardships.
right.
But I think there have been leaps and bounds in just the last 10 years that people are talking about their inner child and and feelings and like feeling safe in their environment. And I don't know, it was kind of funny, like just all the conversations I was having with people. I was like, man, I didn't realize I had this on the road. Like there's so many people I can talk to about my emotions instead of feeling like I'm just bottling everything up.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I think that's great. And I hear that Post Malone gives your blister hot sauce that you did with your brother, that you have with your brothers, gives it a shout out pretty often.
Every night. It's
every night?
It was very, very flattering. Yeah, every time he introduces the band, he goes through everyone, and he's like, and this guy makes the best damn hot sauce in the world. And yeah, he's super sweet.
Have you seen sales of blister hot sauce spike? I feel like
a little bit.
I feel like a Post Malone sign off is pretty legit,
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got celebrity endorsement now.
I know. I just slip him $100 after every show.
But right.
No, it's
you're like blister hot sauce for life.
Yeah, I told him actually. He also just bought like a ton from us one time. I was like, dude, I'll give you whatever you want. Like, thanks you for these shout outs. And like, he bought like dozens of cases, and we're like y'all have to make a lot of hot sauce, because I was on tour and my brothers make it, when I'm not there. Yeah, he's just super generous like that. It's kind of incredible.
Great. That's amazing. I want to bring up your holiday album, which is a big favorite in my family, as my parents liked it and my nieces like it, and they were very excited to get your autographed version of vinyl. They have no idea what to do with vinyl, but they were like, "That's from Jeremy," and they're so impressed that I know you. And then when I told them, because they said, "Where's Jeremy? Why can't we meet him?" I said, "Well, he's on tour with Post Malone," and they were like, "You are just like." Big deal in our household.
Aww.
So yeah, they first became obsessed with Jeremy because you sang me a happy birthday, or maybe you left me a voicemail or something, and they just would like keep listening to it, and they're like, this guy's voice is so beautiful, and they're like, that's your friend.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Know. Yeah, so
yeah,
you're a big
ended
deal
up doing
in our
that.
household.
Oh, yeah. That was good COVID. We were talking about that. My wife and I were just talking about that this morning. I was thinking about how tricky that would have been in New York. But like, also like, what a special time. Like, you really got to see a lot of people's hearts and like the creative ways people would reach out and use their gifts and stuff just to kind of feel connection or bring connection to other people. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, there were blessings and curses, right? It was a hard time.
Absolutely.
But I think we all kind of lifted a bunch of things away and hopefully, or as many of us did, like what was truly important and who mattered, and and like getting off the rat race and all that. Yeah. So
yeah.
Well, Jeremy, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us today on Sad Song Queens, because you always need a good cry.
We will link these songs in our show page and hope you will listen. Huge thanks to Jeremy Lister and our friends at Big Yellow Dog. Special production thanks to Miles Bergsma, Wyatt Rouse, and our researchers Emily Cartham and Sylvia Multhrop. Our theme song is All My Favorite Songs by Weezer, and outro music is by Wyatt Rouse. Hi, it's Lindsay from the Sad Song Queens podcast. You may have heard us allude to Rob or thank Rob Seals in the Songwriting School of Los Angeles at the end of our podcast. He has been so kind to let us record in his studio, and the Songwriting School is an awesome place. If you want to learn how to songwrite, record, or even information how to release or sync your song, there's a class for that.
The Songwriting School of Los Angeles is devoted to the artistry and industry of songs. To learn more, go to thesongwritingschool.com, where you can learn more or enroll in classes.